We got a big show today. Normally I mention one game that we're going to talk about, but my God, we're covering it all, Teddy. The Thunder in the NBA. We got the USC Kel game. We got the World Cup Rugby Finals, the Tyson Fury fight, marketplace in the NFL with Teddy and I. This is going to be an incredible show. Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I'm Lawrence Pressman. He is Teddy Covers, my co-host, and we're starting right off the bat with the great Steve Merril. Steve, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
As Teddy, happy Wednesday. Always great to see you guys.
Yeah, you as
Great
well. Teddy, sorry, I interrupted.
Great to see you too, Steve. Let's talk a little NBA right off the top. The Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that you have your eye on heading into the campaign. And I'll tell you what, I've read a ton, I've talked to a ton of people, and I haven't met a single person that doesn't like the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. Tell us why everyone likes OKC and what you're going to do with OKC over 44.5 wins.
Yeah, what could go wrong, right? You know, I'd love to be on the public side of things, and we talked about that, Teddy, in the NFL when everyone liked the Bears over 7.5 wins, and that's looking fantastic in the NFL season. Although the Detroit Lions are probably the most public play over 9.5, that's still got a pretty good chance, I would say, after the 5-2 start. But yeah, that does concern me a bit. Oklahoma City looks like kind of the play-on team this year, and I will say this, guys. When we talk about season win totals, NFL, NBA always talk about how there's more downside risk to the under. Everything is kind of priced as it should play out. And the NBA is probably the ultimate example of that because there is no sport in which one or two players can make up more of a larger percentage of your team and your ability than the NBA. So I look for reasons to play unders. And I do have 3 totals I like this year. I gave 2 of them out yesterday on the Tuesday NBA tip-off show. One was with the Nuggets last night. And another one's a Thursday game, a Thursday team. So I recommend people go back and watch the replay of the Tuesday NBA tip-off show for some underplays. But this is the one overplay I like this season. And I think there is still some value at, hey, it opened as low as 42.5. It's up to 44.5. I even see some 45s out there. So, Teddy, you're exactly right. This is a very public and sharp play, to be honest. I think both sides are on it. But I don't disagree. Oklahoma City Thunder, first of all, the 3rd best spread record in the league last year. The year before, the 2nd best spread record in the league. You put those together, they've been the best point spread team, the best moneymaker in pro basketball for the last 2 years combined. And I actually think they're better now. And I know we're talking wins, we're not talking covers, but for the most part, they go hand in hand. And my point is that they're always playing hard. Even when they weren't winning the last couple of seasons, they were still covering because they played hard. They kept games close. I think they now have the talent to actually finish those games. And don't forget, their top draft pick, Chet Holmgren, did not play last year. They've got him back this season, along with some other depth on the roster now because of it after another round of draft picks. I think this is a deep team. And in the era of load management, that's another reason I look to play the big boys under, such as the Nuggets I mentioned last night. I thought they would come out with a good effort in game 1, championship night against the Lakers, but I think they're very thin on their depth. That's one of the reasons I mentioned the Nuggets under yesterday on the NBA show. But I think this is one of those situations where there is some value with the over. It's a young team that's going to play hard, and they have depth every game. So when other teams are sitting their guys, as we know they often do, they're going to steal some extra wins this season. So take a look at the Thunder over 44.5 season wins.
And, of course, that's one you'll have to get down on before they tip off tonight if you want to tail Steve with his over recommendation. And I just want to ask about the Western Conference. Denver, certainly an impressive showing last night. Memphis was a number 2 seed in the West last year. They obviously have some injuries coming into the season and suspensions, but we expect the Grizzlies to be there. Sacramento, a surprise team last year. They got everyone back. Phoenix looks better. The Clippers look better. The Warriors look better. The Lakers look better. It's not like the top of the T-Wolves might well be better. So it's not like the contenders in the West as a group have declined in any real way. Where does OKC get these wins? How do they get up and over that and over on these teams? Because it's not like they've got an easy slate.
No, they don't. But I think a lot of those teams are primed to be resting guys. Lakers, Nuggets, 2 teams. And like I said, with the Nuggets, no depth whatsoever. I thought, they would come out with a good effort on championship night against the Lakers. That's exactly what happened. But I still would be very careful with Denver at times this season. Any injuries happen to that starting 5, they're going to be really thin after that. And what I like about the Thunder, once again, is even though they weren't winning games, they were covering games the last couple of seasons. I think they have more talent now. And I used a football NFL analogy at the beginning. I'll use a baseball analogy. Rangers D-backs in the World Series. 2 years ago, the three worst teams in baseball, the Orioles and Diamondbacks had 110 losses each. The Rangers had 102 losses. That was 2 seasons ago, 2021. Now the Orioles win 100 games. The other two make the World Series. So, I really think in the modern era of sports, these teams can turn around faster than you realize. And the fact that OKC's been so good against the spread, yet not winning games, I think they're primed for a breakout season. And I think the load management also gets us multiple wins there, Teddy, when those other teams are often sitting guys.
Steve Merril joining us. And Steve, before we get into your college football game, we're going to be discussing USC at Cal. I want to let everybody know that we just passed 130,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. That's 130,000 subscribers. Man, it means the world to me. It just keeps growing and growing. We cannot thank you guys enough, especially all the people that do the heavy lifting, the guys that are in here every single day. I mean, Boss, John Finley, on and on, Prophet, Joey. I could read for, Titans, on and on, like Javier, every day. I know you tell your friends about what we do. Really, really appreciate it. And Steve and Teddy, shout out to both of you guys because you both do a lot of heavy lifting. Steve, your solo video, the public betting video, is one of the biggest solo videos we have on the website, probably the biggest. And I know you put a lot of work and hard effort into that. And Teddy, your opening line report is one of the top shows we do. Plus, of course, you have to put up with me on a daily basis. Andy Lang is joining us tomorrow. He does a ton of heavy lifting as well. Eric Pauly and Dan. Just a shout out to the entire group. You cannot imagine how much effort we put into this. Joe Ranieri, Dan Alexander, Eric, Robert. It's unbelievable. And we're on our way to 200K. Let's get there, guys. Okay. So, Steve, USC Cal. 6-2 USC, 3-4 Cal. Neither of these teams have made bettors any money betting them. That's for damn sure. But someone's going to make money tonight on Saturday. How do we bet this game? USC minus 11.
I'll tell you what has made money, Prez, is the over in USC games, and I'll get to that in a moment. And
yeah,
it's crazy that NFL video has always done extremely well. My Fade the Public video will be up on Friday. I've done a college football top 25 video for a few seasons. It always got like half as many views. But the last couple years now, I've been giving out my proprietary database simulation, 10,000 games run through. I'll let you know the margins. And that video has actually been outperforming the NFL video this season. So once again, we thank you, everybody that's been watching, hitting the like button, hitting subscribe, hit that bell for instant alerts. Really appreciate it here on WagerTalk TV. And I'm going to go ahead and give a little sneak preview on this game. Cal is not a top 25 team, so it won't be in my video this Saturday, but I thought this was a really interesting game to talk about for several reasons on both the side and total. First, let's look at the simulation. My database simulation has USC on average winning by just 7.5 points, and I run other simulations as well and projections. Some of them actually have Cal winning this game outright and having the yardage edge. And the reason being is because USC is a bad defensive team, and I don't think this is a good spot for them either. Second loss of the season, that can be the bubble burster. That was, losing to Notre Dame in the fashion they did by 28 was not good, but they did have a 5-0 turnover deficit 2 weeks ago. But they came back against Utah as a 7-point favorite and once again gave up a lot of points. So Utah offense has been very mediocre without their quarterback this year. They give up 34 points and they give up over 470 yards. This team just can't stop anybody. They're a below average team. And now Cal is a very capable offensive team. Let's not forget back in the beginning of the season, they put up 58 at North Texas as only a 5-point favorite. And they had over 660 total offensive yards in week 1. They can move the ball against subpar defenses. So at plus 11, there is some value with Cal based on my simulation. Plus, I think the situational setup is not good for USC. But let's not forget about the over. USC is now 6-1 to the over. They've gone over 5 straight. They can't keep going over. They're going to make corrections, right? I don't know, 67.5. That means USC's got to get to about 40. That'd be like a 40-28 game, 40-29 game. And USC's gotten to 40 in the majority of their games. They haven't the last couple of weeks against Notre Dame's great defense and Utah's great defense. They still put up 52 combined. Cal, very mediocre, giving up 6 yards a play, 31 points. I think this game's a shootout, and if USC does come a little flat and hungover, that usually shows on the defensive side as well.
So you like the over here better than the Bears, or do you like the Bears better than the over?
It's funny, Teddy, because when I started looking at this game, I'm looking for reasons to play against teams in letdown spots, obviously. So this made my short list. And then I do the simulation. I see the line 7.5. I'm like, boy, there's some value with Cal and the spot is good. So I do like Cal. But, yeah, the more I started looking at the side the last couple of days, I really can't make a reason not to take the over as well. So I'd say they're both equal. It does concern me, Teddy, obviously, when a team's gone over 5 straight. And USC has failed to cover 5 straight. You always feel like it's too easy at that point. But USC is a public team. They're still a double-digit favorite. And the total's in the high 60s, which is very reasonable, I think. So I just don't think the betting market has caught on to how bad this USC defense is. So that would get me on both Cal and the over.
So I cashed tickets with Cal the first 2 weeks of the season, that North Texas game and the Auburn game. And after the Auburn game, I decided I don't want any more Cal. And I probably should have started fading them because they're 0-5 against the spread since. Their defense hasn't been very good. Their offense hasn't been very good. They've shown no ability to step up in class. We saw the Washington game, they get destroyed. The Oregon State game, they got destroyed. The Utah game, they got destroyed. What makes you think that Cal's going to hang here? I mean, I understand we want to fade USC off the back-to-back losses. Yeah. But
yeah, no
Cal
question.
themselves, they haven't been good. Yeah.
Well, no, but that's exactly what got me looking at the over more, those points you raised, because, not only is USC 0-5, Cal is too. Yeah. So it's a good hedge. I think Cal's the way I'd play the side, and I still am looking to them to maybe make my card this weekend. But yeah, and then I started having those concerns, and every concern you mentioned would be offset with the over, right? Because they can't stop USC. USC puts up 40 or 50. But I will say this, Teddy, another reason I like the over here with Cal is that they put up 40 points on Oregon State. They put up 32 points on Washington, right? So they have been scoring, but like you said, they gave up 111 points in those 2 games. So I think Cal and the over, I like them equally. But yeah, the more I looked at Cal, the more I started liking the over as well.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. And Steve, listen, there's very few people I respect more than you when it comes to financial advice in all areas, whether it's sports betting or playing the markets. We've seen a giant run for Bitcoin. 27K 5-6 days ago. We're now at 35K. It's an 8K increase in less than a week. Is this the same as what we saw in 2017, where we're getting close to Christmas and we're going to get a big, big run? What do you think we should do with Bitcoin right now?
Well, like these breakouts, whether it's equities or Bitcoin or commodities, there's a lot of support and resistance levels. And you and I talked about it 6-7 months ago when Bitcoin was crashing, right? The 20,000 was a real support. And then it kind of broke above that, and it hovered up to 2030. It was in that range. It's at like 35,000 now. So this is definitely a breakout. Maybe it hovers now, but yeah, this looks like there's some real momentum behind it. And, also, Prez, I haven't dug into it too deep, the reasons behind it, because I'm a technical guy, but you do have to wonder if this is an indicator that something bad's about to happen, whether it's the Middle East with the wars, what's going on. I tell you, that's actually what scares me about this move, is just from a humanitarian perspective. I think something bad's about to happen.
Something bad has already happened, but we're not going to discuss any of that on this show.
But yeah.
Steve, I'm told you have a Halloween present for me.
Yeah, since we had a little downer there, I'm going to make your day here. First of all, a promo code. We have a 3-day all access for $49 right now with Access 3. Just check out my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. I also have my first NBA best bet of the season going tonight on Wednesday. Number one in the NBA sides the last couple years. Fantastic season last year as well. Number one college and pro football sides last year. 20-9 NFL sides run. I mean, check out football, check out baseball, check out basketball. 3 days for $49 with promo code Access3. Full details on my page right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. I've been trying to cut my hair for weeks, as you all know, but I was told I have to let it go till after Halloween to give myself options. So, Prez, Will Ferrell, what do you think here? We're going to try to get it going up.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look how long it is, Teddy. Yeah. Look at that, guys. Live on air, we're watching the Chia Pet.
It actually is about twice as bad. So anyway, comment below. We appreciate the comments. Let me know what I can do with this for Halloween, and maybe I'll wear it on the air next Monday or Tuesday on Wager Talk TV.
Well, you look a lot younger now. I'll tell you one thing. Never flatten it. Never flatten that hair ever again. Oh, my. I mean, listen, that's not the style. That ain't
Problems
the style
aside,
either.
man. I look like the
Teddy,
little drummer boy.
He's got a pick. Ever had a
Oh, yeah,
pick?
you got to carry a pick around.
No.
Never know when it might.
I haven't seen anyone carry a pick around since I was in high school.
Steve
Pick is on the-
Farrell, everybody.
Steve Farrell,
Thanks
there
for
we go.
joining us, brother.
Good mark.
Really appreciate
boys.
it. That ain't my joke. Fantone24 came up with that. Teddy
Awesome.
Covers, it's good to have you back, man. You were missed by one person yesterday, but he missed you a lot. What did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
Yeah, I had an internet nightmare yesterday.
Yeah.
I
So
think
did everybody.
Yeah. I'm on air now, so we'll take it. But opening night NBA, I want to talk a little bit about what stood out and what bettors learned today. The Nuggets were an undervalued team last year. They were largely undervalued throughout their playoff run. Now they're defending champs, and maybe they're still undervalued. I bet against them too last night. Missing a couple of role players from last year, but the entire core is back. The confidence, the talent, the execution, the hunger. I'm not in a rush to sell Denver short again after last night's performance. The Lakers, of course, something of a disappointment on opening night, particularly on the defensive end of the court. They were a step slow all night. They allowed 59% from two-point range. They allowed 41% from three-point range. Was not one of those opening night showings for the Lakers where you go, yeah, they're in championship level form. Not just yet for LA. When it comes to Golden State and Phoenix last night, the Warriors look another huge third quarter run. It's what they've been doing for years. Warriors third quarter, the easiest bet out there. They scored 40. They opened the third on a 27-5 run. Both ends of the floor dominant. But Draymond Green may well be their most important players. Not Curry, not Thompson, not Wiggins, not Kuminga, not Paul. And when Green is out, the fourth quarter defense wasn't there. And of course, 23% shooting from three-point range. They missed shots all night. Chris Paul, 0 for 6. No Bradley Beal. Kevin Durant missed shots all night. Eric Gordon was cold. Grayson Allen was cold. The Suns were still good enough to rally from behind to win at a strong Golden State Warriors home court. Of the four teams, the one I was most impressed with last night, probably the Phoenix Suns. An impressive showing on the road to Golden State. They got an immediate power ratings boost in my numbers. That's what I saw opening night of NBA. Lawrence, back to you.
Dude, I can't wait for the Raptors game. If I'm an announcer, the Raptors game is my dream. Dick with a foul, Dick with a three-pointer, Dick with a layup. Oh, Grady Dick is going to provide a lot of exquisite puns. A dream for commentators, brother. Okay, Teddy. I told everybody we have crossed 130K in subscriptions. I also had an incredible night of betting last night. Man, the Winnipeg Jets game, 3-1 with 3 minutes to go in the game. I got under 6. It ends 4-2. So I pushed on that game, but I swept everything else. So I text Carm this morning. Carm, 4-0 night from the Prez. You know what Carm sends me? 9-0 night from Carm. 9-0. Carm is so good. Oh my God. Guy went 9-0 last night. So I wanted to shout out to Carm because those nights do not happen very often. And man, he rained on my parade, but I couldn't have been happier for him. Eric Pauly joining us. Eric, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Nice to be back as always.
Well, you know what? They pay us to put you on. We put you on.
Glad
Who's
there's at
they?
least one reason why.
Who I don't know who they is, but we love having you, Eric. That's why you're on every Wednesday. Let's get straight into it. You got a prop bet for us on the Thursday night football game, the Buffalo Bills at home. What is it?
Yeah, so this is a player prop. Tight end Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills over 36.5 receiving yards. This number has been jumping up for a couple of reasons. Actually opened at 29.5. I actually got in at 33.5 last night, but it just keeps going out. It's like 39.5 at some shops now. So if you're interested in what I'm about to break down, definitely try to get in sooner than later. But the news out of Buffalo now is Dawson Knox, their number one tight end, is getting surgery out for the season. And last week, Dalton Kincaid actually had his breakout game. He's a rookie. He caught all 8 balls thrown for him for 75 yards last week. Now, of course, Knox is out. Kincaid is going to step into this role as the tight end one, and he's going to see a lot more opportunity, but this also happens to be a great matchup for him as well. So Tampa Bay is generally a solid defense against tight ends. They're fifth in DVOA against tight ends this season, but they allow an average of 46.1 yards per game against tight ends, which is obviously much higher than this number, 10 yards over. But it's not just that the opportunity is there for Kincaid, it's the style of defense that Tampa Bay plays. So they play zone at the second highest rate in the NFL, and it's not like this is a great pass defense whatsoever. They're 16th in passing DVOA, and they're 21st in the middle of the field EPA, which is where Kincaid loves to operate. And this season, Kincaid has the highest target share on the Buffalo Bills against zone defenses, and he's caught all 20 of the balls thrown to him against zone. Also, 5 missed tackles forced. So he has ability to get some yards after the catch here. So the number's too low, the opportunity's too high, and it's a great matchup for Kincaid. Again, the number's been rising since open, so if you like that, get in right now. But I love Kincaid over 36.5 receiving yards on Thursday.
Dalton Kincaid to go over his receiving yards number Thursday night, and that's one where there is some urgency. Eric Pauly from the Gold Sheet. Eric, let's shift our focus and talk about the Battle of MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. They call them the New York Jets and the New York Giants, but we all know they play in Jersey. Well, most of them live in Jersey. They practice in Jersey. The Battle of New Jersey, Jets and the Giants. I'm seeing a mix between -3 even money and -2.5 right now. Total 36.5. What do we do with the Jets and the Giants?
Yeah, so at 2.5, the Giants are screaming as an advantage teaser leg. But if you can get a 3, obviously try to get the 110. Like you just mentioned there, Teddy, it's not really sitting at the 110. But I like the Giants plus the points in this matchup. A team that just scored 14 points only in their win last week. Game with a total of 36.5, 37 points. So we know we're in for an ugly one. Jets, of course, coming off the bye after that big win at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. But I've been trying to focus my handicapping on more this week after I got burned last week on handicapping the coordinators. So you have Wink Martindale, a veteran defensive coordinator for the Giants, who last week put on a clinic on how to stop the Washington Commanders offense. You suffocate Sam Howell with blitzes, which is what Wink Martindale made his bones on in the National Football League with the Ravens, is blitzing, blitzing, blitzing. And Sam Howell could not do anything. The Commanders scored 7 points because they had a short field on one of those their sole touchdown drive this game. Now you have a Jets offensive line that is arguably worse than the Commanders' offensive line, and a quarterback in Zach Wilson who is susceptible to pressure, but he's not willing to take as many sacks. He's going to try to run around the pocket, and that's going to lead to him potentially making more bad throws, which could lead to turnovers for the New York Giants defense. So I expect Wink Martindale, the DC, to have the edge in that matchup. Offensive side of the ball, Tyrod Taylor has proven to be an upgrade over Daniel Jones, if not a big one, maybe just a slight one. And also Saquon Barkley looked a little spry last game. Looked like he had some pep in his step, so that's huge. Of course, the Jets defense is good, and they should be getting 3 of their cornerbacks back, including their top 2 in DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. But I think that the Giants have an edge on the defensive side of the ball in terms of just play calling. I think they could force Zach Wilson to a critical mistake. We're getting 3 points in this game of, again, a very low total, 2 teams with anemic offenses and good defenses. I think catching 3 is very important here. I like the Giants with the points.
So the Giants' offense is worse than the Jets' offense. I think they're the worst offense in the NFL this season in a lot of different metrics. You know, they won a game where they scored 14 points in the first quarter and they didn't score again. They won a game where they were shut out at halftime against Arizona and then had 1 big second half. 0 against Dallas, 12 against San Fran, 3 against Seattle, 16 against Miami, 9 against Buffalo, 14 last week. This team can't score. Isn't the under the play here if we don't trust the Jets to score either?
Well, think of the names you just listed, Teddy. Those are all great teams. Besides the Arizona Cardinals, where they're actually able to have an offensive explosion in the second half. And again, not saying much because it's the Cardinals, but they played such a strong schedule of defenses so far this season. Just such a strong schedule of teams in general so far this season, of course, outside of Arizona. And now that last week's game against the Commanders, whose defense, though they let big plays, did not let up points and buckled down in the second half. Just a total of 36.5, 37 points. It's similar to when I broke down that Saints New England Patriots game the other week. It's just like there is opportunity for both sides of the defenses to score points on defense, which could propel this total over. But I think it's a great look. Just 36.5 is so few points. And we've seen those totals close around that this season and still go under by a decent margin. But it's a similar sentiment. Lower total, more value in the points. 2.5, they're a fantastic advantage teaser leg. But at a 3-1-10, I think just taking the 3 with the Giants is the best way to bet this game. I would definitely not be laying 3 points with Zach Wilson.
Eric Pauly, everyone, from the Gold Sheet. And I don't know if you guys heard, but I did chuckle on live on air. I can't get this Grady Dick thing out of my mind, bro. I'm sitting here going, Dick with a pick. It's a Dick pick. Dick played really hard tonight, right after a night where he played really soft. Anyway, guys, go to town on Grady Dick. Let's see some comments after the video goes up. Says Jim Gray would just have a freaking field day with this guy's name. I can't get it out of him. I'm sorry. I'm so unfocused right now. It's ridiculous. Eric, what do you got to promote? Look how happy Teddy is, Eric. Look at that face. Look at that face.
Yeah, you were cracking me up with that first Grady Dick digression you went on prior to me hopping on. But right now, just promoting the Gold Sheet newsletter itself, and as well as the LTS pick service on WagerTalk, goldsheet.com. You can buy a weekly newsletter, or you can buy for the full season. Breakdowns of almost every single college football game and every single NFL game, advanced stats, game logs against the spread logs, trends analysis as well. Then on wagertalk.com, we also have our final plays of the week, where after we write the newsletter on Monday and Tuesday, garner a lot of the early information. And as, of course, we know in football, things pop up, injuries over the week, weather, so on and so forth. We have those LTS picks posted on wagertalk.com. So for written analysis and newsletter, head on over to the Gold Sheet. If you want to focus more in on just the plays, head on over to wagertalk.com.
Eric Pauly there. Teddy, Dick looked tired last night. I think he's going to get some action tonight. Okay, I'm done. It's your big game breakdown, bro.
Are we doing big game breakdown, or are we doing NFL buy sell? I wasn't sure.
I thought we could do both, but because we're not on a hard stop, and neither you and I are going to be asking Kevin Dolan much follow-up questions on his rugby plays. So you decide.
All right. Well, let's start with a big game breakdown. The Broncos and the Chiefs, a rematch of a game that was played, 2 weeks ago, where Kansas City got the win and kind of the cover, depending on where you bet them. They won by 11 after a late Denver score, which at 10.5, minus 11, minus 11.5, depending on where you got it. You won, lost, or pushed, but you probably should have won or pushed with KC in that ballgame. Look, this is a Broncos defense that's getting better. All right. We've seen it each of the last 2 weeks. But it's also a Chiefs offense that's getting better. We saw a lot of dink and dunk from Kansas City early this season. That's not the case now. They were firing away downfield. Mahomes took a little bit of time to get in a little bit of a comfort level with his new receiving core. That's not the case right now. Kansas City is the best team in the NFL. They have the best offense. They might well have one of the best defenses. This is not a team to step in front of lightly. You can look at the Denver side and say, hey, Russell Wilson found something. Russell Wilson hasn't found anything yet. The Broncos have found some ways to win against lesser teams. They've also found some ways to lose games against lesser teams. Here, certainly it's a divisional rivalry. Denver has had a decent track record of giving KC competitive games. They gave him a relatively competitive game a couple of weeks ago because KC was settling for field goals and not scoring touchdowns in that ballgame. And the best bet here might well be the best bet from the first meeting between these two teams, and that's the under. I don't trust Denver's offense to move the football against Kansas City. They couldn't do it in the first meeting. They haven't moved the football consistently against anybody all year, and this Chiefs defense is dynamite. Denver defensively has the capacity, we've seen it, to slow down KC. And KC, while we saw a breakout game last week, it's going to take a couple weeks in a row before I'm fully believing that the Chiefs offense is clicking on all cylinders. So when all said and done, the rematch between these two, wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot like the first meeting. Take the under 46. That total's too high. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Lawrence.
Teddy, I got issues. The whole time you're talking, I'm like, Dick is dribbling from the top of the key. He calls it foreplay. Dick to the left, Dick to the right, Dick to the hole. Dick scores. I can't freaking stop. Oh my God, what's going on with me? I mean, he can't. Is he the first guy with the last name Dick playing in professional
Andy
sports?
Dick,
It can't be. No, yeah.
I mean,
there's
there
gotta be that.
was the comedian Andy Dick.
No, I'm talking about as a sports guy when you have a commentator who gets to say your name and play with puns all night. I can't think of one.
I'm sure there's one, but we'll have to think of him.
Teddy, it's time for Marketplace. So we got Kevin Dolan coming on. He's going to look at the World Cup final in rugby. New Zealand is playing South Africa, and the boxing fight between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Let's start right off the bat, brother. San Francisco, now losers of 2 games, basically over 7, favorite in both. Is this a buy or sell team moving forward?
So I have the 49ers under their season win total. I was not happy, obviously, with the 5-0 start. I'm a little bit happier now they've lost 2 in a row. I thought that San Fran would take a step back defensively. That hasn't been the case. Look, San Fran's elite defensively, and their playmakers are hurt right now. And that was my biggest concern about them coming into the season. I'm like, I got QB questions. I got playmaker questions. This team going to be able to score? Right now, they can't. And when you have a team that got off to a 5-0 start that's being power rated amongst the leaders in the NFL and they can't score, that's not a value team for me. So I would say San Fran is a team I would fade.
Teddy, we're going to do 2 more, and then we're going to do another few tomorrow. The Minnesota Vikings, they've now won 2 in a row. They're the team that just upset San Fran. And even without Justin Jefferson, we're able to move the ball up and down. I'm a buy on this team moving forward, and I think they're a good bet this week against a really, really bad Green Bay team. What do you think of the Minnesota Vikings?
So I don't think Green Bay is as bad as you might think they are. And Minnesota, certainly on a list of teams that I trust, Minnesota is not particularly high. So they're a 500 team. They've been priced like a 500 team all year. They're playing 500 football. I mean, that's what they are. You think they're going to be much better than that? I don't.
Well, listen, for them to be a 500 team, I mean, they're way under 500 right now. So that suggests a bit of a run to come.
3-4.
Okay, 1 under. Why do you think Green Bay is not as bad as I think they are? This is a team that can't move the ball. Their defense is completely overrated. Where do you, we weren't going to talk about Green Bay, but where would you put them in the league? I mean, this is a bottom 6-7 team, in my opinion.
So there are 3 factors to consider with Green Bay, because I have a play on Green Bay over their season win total. Yesterday, I took a look to decide if I'm going to buy off that, because you can buy off it right now at the same number I got it. And I made the decision not to buy off the Packers. Okay. 6 more home games. They got road games against the Giants, Carolina, Minnesota,
Right.
a bunch of other sub-500 teams, the sub-500 teams. So the schedule is very reasonable for Green Bay. The offense has not been consistent in any way, shape, or form, but they've shown signs on multiple times in multiple games that there's potential there. They haven't been healthy. They've had offensive line injuries. Their running back core hasn't been healthy. They've been adjusting their game plan week in, week out. The identity isn't there. I'm not convinced that's going to be the case all year. I think this team can run the football effectively and use the play action game and take some shots with love and be successful. And we've seen that work at times this season. Defensively, there's nothing not to like about Green Bay. They've been great. I don't know what defense you've been watching. Packers defense kept them in every game. Much better than average league average defense. So even if the offense continues to struggle and Green Bay is a below average offense, defense is good enough to keep them in games. All 3 units.
So I wasn't expecting to speak about Green Bay, so I didn't have my notes.
Me
Green
neither.
Green Bay, their defense is not nearly what you're talking about. Not nearly what you're saying. Bottom half of the league, allowing opponents to score 22 on them. I got a bunch of notes.
Stop.
Okay.
if you're actually looking at points per game as a defensive
I said I have
metric,
a lot of notes. I just don't have them here. I look at everything, Teddy. That was just the one thing that came in. You know what, Teddy? Stop being a
there's
Grady
one
dick.
defensive metric that matters. Yards per play allowed. That tells you how good your defense is. Everything else is fluff. And yards per play allowed is not the mainstream defensive stat. Everyone's talking about yards per game, points allowed per game.
I don't agree with you, Teddy. I don't agree.
Okay, go.
Yards per player. Let's say that you allow a team an average of 3 yards every time they touch the ball. You're what? One of the best teams in the league? Guess what?
Best, yes.
Guess what? A team can get a first down every single 4 downs. 4 times 3 is 12. You need 10 to get a first down. That is not the world's greatest statistic, Mr. Theodore. Anyway, stop being a Grady dick. Okay, I'm going to be using this all freaking NBA season. Kevin Dolan joining us, everyone. Kev! What do you got to add to the show? Man, you always have to come in. I thought you were wearing a mask.
What? It's not Halloween yet.
Yeah.
It does look like he's wearing a mask, right, Teddy?
Yeah. With the way your hat and the light shining on your face, but not anything behind you. Yeah, it's an odd look. But welcome to the show.
Welcome, Kevin.
I definitely have to work on my lighting. I definitely have to work on the lighting. I'm going to sort that out now in the next 2 weeks. I'm on vacation next week. I'm away for 3 weeks. So when I get back, we'll have it all sorted by Christmas time. You'll have to put up with my red face for now.
Listen, we'll put up with your red face anytime you want. And if you want to throw in some Dick puns, go ahead. Fantone writes, Dick is such a raw talent. Look at him penetrate that defense. That's pretty good, Fantone. Kev, look, I'm South African, bro. Born in Johannesburg, lived in Cape Town, one of the most beautiful cities in the entire world. My dad bleeds this rugby team. They're playing New Zealand in the finals. Is my dad going to be happy?
I believe so, Prez. You like what I have to say. Just in terms of the tournament as a whole, it's been fantastic for us. We hit almost 65% across the entire tournament last 7 weeks. Cashed 8 of the last 11 as well. So a little bit sorry it's coming to an end this weekend. Just want to shout out to those people that joined us for the tournament. Despite how good it's been, though, 2 of the things I was absolutely way off on was our 10-1 future on Australia that I came out and gave out in this show 7 or 8 weeks ago. I thought Eddie Jones's gamble on the youth contingent in that squad might potentially pay off, especially with it being on the weaker side of the draw. Couldn't have been further wrong. He was already on the phone to Japan halfway through the group stage. So that was a bit of a dud. And while it wasn't an official play, the other future that I discussed in the article form, I said, in my opinion, out of the 4 favourites to lift this year's trophy, namely Ireland, New Zealand, France, and South Africa, I thought that South Africa had the least chance to win it, just based on their injury crisis going in to this tournament at the time. Eben Etzebeth was out, R.G. Snyman as well, and a few other players. But what's ended up happening for South Africa in this tournament is that those players were picked, they were selected, and while they were banged up at the start of the tournament, they've slowly started to come back in. It's a long tournament. It's 7, it's almost 2 months long. They've had time to come back in and regain, kind of almost full fitness over the last 7 weeks. They face a New Zealand team on Saturday who, I would say they just about deserve the favourites tag in this one. They've had a much easier route to the final. They're a lot less banged up than South Africa as well, which, in a sport as physical as rugby, is absolutely key to be as fresh as possible. But, like I said, to me, they've been, a little fortunate. They mailed it in the second half of their opening game against France. A game they didn't need to win. They were extremely lucky. And I can say this as an Irish guy. They were extremely lucky to draw Ireland in the quarterfinals as well. That was actually my sole 5% play of the tournament. I took New Zealand plus 130 on the money line to win straight up. Ireland are the number 1 team in the world, but it doesn't seem to matter how talented they are. They simply cannot get over the hump in high-pressure games. 0-8.
Well, they are Irish.
Now in World Cup quarterfinals. What?
They are Irish.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're just not very clutch, obviously, in the
Yeah.
big. It's kind of annoying at this point, 0-8. So obviously, when that came up, it was all over New Zealand to put them out. And then New Zealand last round semi-finals, they just put and vastly overmatched the Argentina side of the sword in that one as well. So to me, New Zealand haven't been properly tested this World Cup so far. You know, like I said, well, we cashed that 5% on them in the quarterfinal. I was literally watching that game through my fingers for most of it because every time the Irish got the ball, you know, their superior pace, their width was giving the All Blacks absolute fits in the back. And if it wasn't for, you know, some sloppy errors, poor decision making regarding lineouts and so on, Ireland really should have won that game. And I thought they were the better team. So obviously feel free to come at me in the comment section if you're a Kiwi fan. And look, I'll finish with this. You know, I watched the Ireland versus South Africa game back in the group stage. Ireland squeezed out the win in that game, but to me, South Africa were the better team. And as soon as the game was over, you know, I thought back to my article and I wrote in big black letters on my monitor, South Africa are going to win this World Cup. They're the best team I've seen so far. So I get why New Zealand are favoured in this game. They're the fresher of the two teams, like I said. But in my opinion, you know, if these draws get rejigged, if these standings in the group get rejigged, if New Zealand were to face France in the quarterfinal, they're going home. They're already watching this game from their sofa. If they were to face South Africa, it's the exact same thing. They were just blessed to face an Irish team who simply choke it out in the big stage. That's not South Africa. This team is the very definition of clutch. 3-time finalists, 3-time winners. You know, when they get to this stage, they always get the job done. So to me, to get the better team here, plus 118, despite the fact they've had the harder route, despite the fact they're a bit banged up, I have to take that on Saturday.
For South Africa to take care of business against New Zealand this weekend. Kev, let's talk a little boxing. In Saudi Arabia on Saturday, Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. Looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, Fury minus 1,600, minus 1,500, minus 2,000. The total in this fight, I'm seeing a 4.5. I'm seeing a 5.5. Not sure which number is right in terms of the over-under for the rounds. It is scheduled as a 10-round match. What do you want to do with Tyson Fury on Saturday?
It wouldn't be a show if it wasn't talking about boxing, Teddy. Yeah, as you said, it's boxing's heavyweight champion versus the UFC's former heavyweight champion, heavyweight exhibition fight this weekend over in Riyadh. And look, to be honest, if you like a 6 or 7% return on your investment, you know, shopping around, there's probably worse bets than taking Tyson Fury outright, to be honest. Probably the best heavyweight of the last 25 years, fighting a guy who's never boxed professionally before. I mean, you don't get much more of a slam dunk than that. But, you know, a better way into this, obviously, is the total. You know, the undisputed clash between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk has already been signed. That could potentially go off as soon as next month as well, providing nothing untoward happens in this fight. So, with a purse rumored to be in excess of well over $100 million for that fight, Fury's not going to do anything reckless here, in my opinion. He's not going to jeopardize that kind of payday. And to be honest, he's been speaking in glowing terms of Francis Ngannou in the lead up to this fight anyway. Similar to what we saw between, you know, in these crossover fights when Floyd Mayweather, you know, fought Conor McGregor, I think Fury's going to carry this fight into the later rounds, you know, make a show of it. I don't see him stepping on the gas here, trying to get Ngannou out of there. And frankly, even if he opted to, one of the things about Fury is he's just not the power puncher most people think he is. You know, 5 stoppages in his last 6 fights. But you have to take those into context. Wilder's not the most durable of fighters. You know, he got badly wobbled twice in his fight against Eric Molina. Fury still needed the referee to wave it off in that second fight. He stopped Derek Chisora, who has no gas tank, stopped Tom Schwartz. The only semi-durable fighter he's gotten the stoppage against was Dillian White, where, you know, he clearly pushed him onto the canvas. So if Francis Ngannou is in any way durable here, this is going to sail over the 4.5 rounds, in my opinion. And even as it is, I just see Fury going through the motions here, you know, and not jeopardizing a 9-figure payday heading into against a physically stronger fighter on the inside in Francis Ngannou. He'll just box from the outside, make it easy, potentially get a late finish. But I see over 4.5 rounds as great value this weekend in this one.
Evan, unbelievable, man. Just awesome stuff. I listen to this guy, Teddy, and I'm like, I'm ready to bet South Africa. You know, there are people that just have the ability to instill incredible confidence in you with when they speak, and Kevin Dolan is definitely at the top of that list. Kev, what do you got to promote?
I appreciate that, Prez. Yeah, we cashed another winner in the NBA last night on opening night. Continue as the number one NBA profit leader at WagerTalk since the start of the 2018 season. Really proud of that, obviously, given all the talent that's at WagerTalk. And until November 5th, you can take advantage of not only the already discounted inbuilt NBA early bird season discount, but also the fact I'm going to throw in the UEFA season completely free as well. All Champions League games, all Europa League games, all Europa Conference League games, right the way through until June 2024. Not quite as good in UEFA this season. Only rank as the number 2 profit leader, so you'll have to put up with that. But, make sure and lock that great deal in. You're getting an entire season for free before it expires next week. As, we obviously look to have another highly profitable season this year.
Kevin Dolan, everyone, outstanding stuff. What a show. Let's end the show with a question from RJ and a quick answer. RJ writes, why not take a flyer in the hopes Francis lands that one? RJ, you can play that game every day of your life. Why just play it now? Anyway, if you want to go to, I get Teddy, that's what people do in boxing. You got a plus 1,100 or whatever, plus 800. You're like, let's throw a little bit and hope he, knocks him out, throws that one. Do you remember back when Muhammad Ali ruled the roost? Everybody would take Muhammad Ali minus 1,400, 1,800. It didn't matter, minus 2,100. It's not a winning proposition hoping some big, huge dog knocks out the heavyweight champion of the world. Anyway, Theodore, I had a fun time today. Your facial expressions during my antics, priceless. Guys, we're going to continue NFL Marketplace tomorrow. Make sure to join us. Teddy, I don't know what I'm eating, man. I got to go figure it out now. Likely a Montreal smoked meat sandwich. Take us home, bro.
You also don't know anything about Muhammad Ali or the prices that he was laying in his fights.
Nothing at all, dude.
Or bet on Muhammad Ali fights. But that being said, way to bring up an analogy from 50 years ago that you don't know anything about. Well done, Lawrence. That's going to wrap it for the Wednesday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.